But you're gonna come with me until I can resolve all these issues. You're either come with me or Tony here. He's gonna make you come with me. Is that a paperweight?
I'm telling you, I will squeeze this trigger and Tony will be no more.
The movie kicks off with Mickey Pearson walking into a bar, chatting on the phone with his wife while grabbing a drink. Just as he settles in, another guy passes behind him and he hears something disturbing on the phone. Someone's harassing his wife. Out of nowhere, a gunshot rings out and blood spills into Mickey's beer glass. Then we switch to Raymond, Mickey's right-hand man, who comes home only to find a man named Fletcher lurking in the shadows. Fletcher's a smug reporter who works for Big Dave, the editor of a major gossip newspaper called the Daily Print. Dave's still salty about an awkward moment with Mickey, who once refused to shake his hand because the paper had published an embarrassing story about Mickey's close friend. Now, Dave wants revenge and sends Fletcher to dig up dirt. Fletcher, however, wants a lot more, 20 million pounds from Raymond, for the scoop he's uncovered. The film jumps between present and past as Fletcher lays out the story. Mickey, it turns out, is a big shot in the weed business. He once got into Oxford on a Rhodes Scholarship, but dropped out. Coming from a tough background, Mickey wasn't interested in books. He wanted money and power. So he started selling weed, first to rich students and then to shady characters. And he wasn't afraid to get violent if anyone crossed him. Now, after years of building a massive underground empire, Mickey wants to sell it off and live a quiet life with his wife Rosalind. He finds a buyer, Matthew Berger, a wealthy American businessman, who's willing to shell out 400 million pounds. To impress him, Mickey takes him to one of his grow-ops, set up in the basement of a broke aristocrat's estate. The place is high-tech and runs like clockwork, producing top-shelf marijuana. Berger is impressed, but wonders why Mickey wants out of such a successful business. Mickey explains that sooner or later, the law will catch up with him. With his criminal history, if the police catch wind of anything, his empire could crumble overnight. So, better to sell it while he's ahead. Berger nods and asks to see where the final product is processed and packaged. Rosalind, Mickey's sharp and business-savvy wife, runs a luxury garage of her own and is known internationally. She tells Mickey to move slow with his retirement plans, warning him that once he's out, others will come circling to take a piece of what he built. Mickey values her advice and takes it to heart. Elsewhere, we meet Dry Eye, a shady operator who's checking documents with his crew. He works for Lord George, a powerful crime boss from China, and handles all sorts of illegal imports, goods, and even people. One of Mickey's insiders leaks the news that Mickey is planning to sell his empire. Dry Eye sees an opportunity and wants in, even if Mickey is planning to raise the price. Dry Eye later shows up at Rosalind's workshop not long after Mickey leaves. Rosalind notices something fishy with some parts she bought. They're probably illegal. Dry Eye tries to arrange a meeting with Mickey through her, but she doesn't promise anything. Eventually, Dry Eye gets his meeting, but Mickey shuts him down. In Mickey's mind, he imagines violently taking him out right there. But in reality, he just gives a firm no and shows he's not scared one bit. That same night, a gang of masked teens breaks into one of Mickey's grow houses. They beat up the guards and run off with a van full of weed, then post a flashy rap video of the heist on YouTube. One of the guards tells Mickey right away, saying these kids weren't amateurs, they knew martial arts. It's clear someone sent them. Turns out, the culprits call themselves the Toddlers. They're wannabe MMA fighters and YouTubers trained by a guy known as the Coach, a retired fighter who always preaches brains over brawn. When Coach finds out what they did and who they robbed, he makes them delete the video. He's horrified they messed with Mickey Pearson. After that, Mickey starts pulling his plants out of the lab, wanting to keep things safe. Meanwhile, Raymond digs into how the kids found the secret location. Mickey then reaches out to a guy named Lord Snowball to help move the operation somewhere more secure. Snowball agrees, but only if Mickey helps him out in return. Snowball's favor? He wants Mickey to help Lord Pressfield find his daughter Laura, who's gotten hooked on heroin and vanished. Mickey puts Raymond on the job. Raymond and his crew track Laura down to a junkie hangout and move in to bring her back. Raymond and his crew run into serious trouble when they go to rescue Laura. Things turn violent, and during the chaos, a young Russian guy named Aslan ends up falling off a balcony and dies. A few punks nearby film the whole thing, and now there's video evidence that could cause big problems for Mickey. To prevent that, Raymond and his guys chase after the kids who filmed the incident, hoping to get their phones. He first tries being nice, offering a bunch of cash for the phones. But when the kids say no and call in backup from a local gang, Raymond's team has no choice but to get rough and take the phones by force. After safely dropping Laura back home, Raymond breaks the bad news to Mickey that the guy who died was the son of a super-rich ex-KGB Russian. Unfortunately, not long after returning home, Laura dies of an overdose on the front lawn. Meanwhile, Coach finds out it was his own students who robbed Mickey's weed lab. He's furious and embarrassed. He heads over to Raymond's place to apologize and says he'll make it right. Raymond tells him to find out who leaked the lab's location and bring that person in. Coach agrees, and not long after, he tracks down Fook, one of Dry Eye's guys. But before Fook can be questioned, he panics and ends up getting hit by a train while trying to escape. Raymond updates Mickey, who suspects Lord George might try to mess with his business now. Mickey responds fast. He threatens Lord George and destroys one of his heroin labs as a warning. Lord George doesn't take it well and punishes Dry Eye for even thinking about taking Mickey's empire. But Dry Eye flips the script and kills Lord George instead, taking over the operation. Now that Dry Eye is in charge, he's more determined than ever to take over Mickey's empire. The story catches up to where the movie started. Mickey's sitting at a bar, talking to Rosalind on the phone. A hitman creeps up behind him, ready to strike. But before he could do anything, Raymond shows up just in time and takes him out. Worried about his wife, Mickey rushes to her garage. Turns out Dry had already shown up and planned to kidnap her. Rosalind manages to shoot a couple of his guys with her tiny pistol before she runs out of ammo. Dry Eye knocks her out, and just as things are about to go too far, Mickey storms in and kills Dry Eye before he can harm her. Later on, Fletcher reveals to Raymond that he's been digging up all this info on Mickey for Big Dave, who wants to publish a scandalous story. Fletcher also spills that Dry Eye had teamed up with Matthew, the American businessman, in an attempt to tank the value of Mickey's empire so they could buy it cheap. Fletcher hopes Raymond will pay him more than Big Dave for the dirt. Raymond, however, is already a few steps ahead. He sends the toddlers to pay Big Dave a visit. They knock him out, film something very compromising involving him and an animal, and warn him to drop the story or face total humiliation online. Mickey eventually meets Matthew again at a frozen food factory, which is really a front for distributing his weed across Europe. Mickey shows he knows everything. He even reveals Dry Eye's frozen corpse in one of the meat lockers. When Matthew tries to force Mickey to lower the price of the deal to 130 million pounds, Mickey locks him in the freezer and tells him to cough up 270 million pounds instead, both for the bloodshed and for nearly ruining everything. Mickey says he doesn't really care about the money, but after what almost happened to Rosalind, he wants personal payback, a pound of flesh, anywhere Matthew chooses. Fletcher thinks he's getting paid, but Raymond surprises him. Turns out, Raymond had been tracking him the whole time using a bug planted during their first meeting. The toddlers then snatch up all of Fletcher's evidence to make sure none of it could be used against Mickey. Still, Fletcher had another trick up his sleeve. He had already tipped off Aslan's father about his son's death. The assassin Raymond shot earlier? That was one of the Russians sent by Aslan's father. Coach ends up saving Raymond when two more Russian hitmen show up at his house. He takes them out, letting Fletcher run away in the confusion. Mickey isn't safe either. Two more assassins kidnap him. But the toddlers, still trying to redeem themselves with Coach, launch a surprise attack. They shoot up the car, kill the Russians, and save Mickey just in time. Sometime later, Fletcher decides to turn everything he learned into a movie script and pitches it to Miramax. After the meeting, he hops into what he thinks is a regular taxi, only to find Raymond is the driver. Meanwhile, Mickey and Rosalind get back to running their cannabis business, stronger and smarter than ever, especially now that Fletcher's been locked away. And that's how it all wraps up.